Let's talk about the axolotl's weird cryptid cousin, the olm. Now, we're all familiar with the axolotl. It's very popular, it's very cute, it's very pink. People tend to love them. What people don't tend to love is a somewhat closely related species, the olm. This is the olm, a somewhat close relative of the axolotl. Now, the olm is a type of eyeless cave salamander that's found in a bunch of limestone caves in Europe. Specifically, it's endemic to a variety of limestone cave systems found in Europe, such as in Italy, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Did I say that properly? Sure. It's an amphibian, so it's related to other salamanders as well as frogs and newts, but interestingly, it is one of, if not the only amphibian species to spend its entire life underwater. It is fully aquatic. It's also the only amphibian species that is entirely 100% cave dwelling, so they live in caves underwater for their entire lives. They don't come out, which is why they have such a variety of weird-ass adaptations to live like that. Starting off, they do not have eyes. They are almost completely blind, and by almost, I mean they don't have image-forming eyes, but they do have eyes with photoreceptors, so they can sense changes in light, they can tell when it's light and dark, and they also tend to avoid light areas. So the eyes don't actually work as eyes, they're only photosensitive and don't actually form images. So in order to compensate for that, they have enhanced other senses such as hearing and smelling. Most amphibian species do have gills during their larval stages. You can see on the adults those kind of frilly pink things. Most of the time in most amphibians, the gills do go away. However, in some species, such as the olms and the axolotls, they do retain their structure in the adult form. So that is how they breathe. The olms do have lungs, but they're rarely, if ever, used, and only used in situations where there's incredibly low oxygen in the water, or if they do happen to get stranded out of the water on dry land. Most of the respiration is done through either the gills or cutaneous respiration through the skin, which makes them incredibly sensitive to any environmental pollutants because they absorb everything through their skin, so if there's any contaminants, they do get sick very easily from that, like many other amphibian species. They do have other interesting features, one of them being that the forelegs, so the ones in the front, have 3 toes on them, but the hind legs in the back only have 2, which, okay. Also, they're almost entirely lacking pigment. Most of them do not produce any melanin at all, so instead of producing a pink pigment to look pink, it's just a lack of pigment where you just kind of see the blood vessels and veins and stuff. However, there is a distinct population called black olms that do produce melanin and do come in a black color. However, largely they don't produce any skin pigmentation at all. They're also very good at conserving energy because there's not a lot of food sources down where they live. They are largely carnivorous, so they eat other cave-dwelling, mostly invertebrates such as crustaceans or like little fish and stuff. However, they are very good at conserving energy. Some studies have found that individual olms can live like 10 years without food, which is like nuts. There's so many weird facts about these guys. Every single thing, it just gets weirder and weirder, but they are a very cool little amphibian regardless, so yeah. Take a second to appreciate these weird-ass fucking cave salamanders.